Hey guys, me again Aswat, and as you can see, there's no CGI, there's no Millennium Falcon. It's just me and my plain house. But when I'm doing this kind of video that have no special effect, I'm gonna do a long discussion about it. I'm comfortable in my pajamas, and I want to talk about the rise of Skywalker. Now, this is a much awaited movie for fans of the Star Wars series, which I am one of them. I watched Star Wars 1977. I was 4 or something, but I do remember vividly. My parents brought me to the cinema to watch this movie. So I should even when I recovered from stroke, the first movie I wanted to watch in my head that popped up was Star Wars. So I'm going through the history because the last of the Skywalker is actually the last of those movies, memories with me and my mom, my dad, all the Star Wars things. But it died off for a while with the prequels. They were still enjoyable, but I lost interest in them. And then when the Force Awakens started again, I got a renewed interest because you're a fan. You're a fan of this fantasy world that is fantastic. I think the first Star Wars for me, the New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, still watchable after all these years, and it's interesting, it's fun. And then people try to remake them, how to do, the Force Awakens and stuff like that. Okay. This movie is a mixed bag, and you should know that this review is spoiler-filled. What do I think about this movie? Okay, to be honest with you, the movie is a mess. And I'm not saying it's a good or bad situation. This movie needs to be studied. People who wants to make movies should study this movie. People who wants to be a writer should study this movie too. Because the rise of the Skywalker comes from following up the Last Jedi, the controversial Last Jedi. It was directed by Rian Johnson, and this one is by J.J. Abrams that did the first one. So the Last Jedi, for you to understand this is a very bad. It's a very bad standalone movie, because some movies you can watch it without watching the prequels and whatnot, the sequels and what. This movie you need to watch at least Force Awakens and the Last Jedi, because there's some weird things about this movie that if you're not a fan, you come into this movie thinking that it's a simple movie. It's not. It's quite complicated. That's why I say it's a mess. It's a combination of fixing the Last Jedi. Now, if you want to know why that is so, because the Last Jedi was very controversial. Regardless whether you're a fan or not, it's really controversial because it introduces a lot of things, a lot of story situation. It killed off Snoke. It shows Luke Skywalker throwing off his lightsaber that he got, his father's lightsaber and stuff like that. All of that, fans are considered like, what is Rian Johnson doing? So they had this in that. So there's a lot of things that Rian Johnson introduced in The Last Jedi that fans were angry about it, and they boycott Solo and whatnot, and then sales were dropping and people were blaming Kathleen Kennedy and whatnot. So they call back Abrams, J.J. Abrams, who directed the first one. Here's the tip, number one tip: when you're doing a trilogy, you should direct all of the movies, especially like the trilogies. This trilogy is like Marvel trilogy. The Marvel movies, they like every year they have kind of every year there must be a movie, so they need to finish the trilogy as fast as possible. Unlike the original trilogy, which is the episode 4, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of Jedi, there's gap in them so that people can develop the story and whatnot. George Lucas can do whatever he wants. But in the new decade, new era, when people are doing trilogies, they need to do it quickly and almost back to back. That's why I'm supporting James Cameron. He's taking his time to do sequel to Avatar and whatnot. Hopefully it's good. Okay, back to this. So, the things that fans hated about The Last Jedi is Luke throwing his lightsaber. There's Holdo, this purple hat lady, who was very off-putting to a lot of people. And then Princess Leia suddenly having force powers and can fly through space, and which wasn't explained at all in the history. But I'm not here to argue about that. I'm just saying that's what The Last Jedi put up, and people were angry about the whole thing. So J.J. Abrams were brought back to the franchise to finish his work and also to fix what Rian Johnson did. So that's why I say part one of the struggle of this discussion is the honesty of it. They are fixing. This movie should have a category which is fixing what Rian Johnson did in The Last Jedi. So everything that Rian Johnson did, J.J. Abrams corrected them. And I think he did it because he did the first one, The Force Awakens, and then he ended it with a storyline that shows Luke Skywalker met with Rey, and Rey gave him this lightsaber, and Rian Johnson just took all of that and then just threw the lightsaber out, which is like a very big disrespect to J.J. Abrams. Because I do remember and then they also make like Rian Johnson also make like Rey parents was just a nobody, which and then Snoke died, and Snoke was like a nobody too. So J.J. Abrams was called back, and he was pissed, but he was professional, and he did never. I don't think he criticized Rian Johnson, but Mark Hamill did a lot of that criticism. You can search YouTube for Mark Hamill criticizing The Last Jedi. There's a lot of video about that. Okay, so what did J.J. Abrams did when he got back the reign for Star Wars? So every single thing that Rian Johnson did, he removes or he changed or he provided answers. For example, how did Leia have force powers and how did she get them? And since she was never a practitioner of the Force, and then J.J. Abrams showed that she actually trained with Luke Skywalker and showed that she is actually stronger than Luke because she beat Luke. And to me, that is just not good because it's just shown like in the flashback kind of way, because like I said, J.J. Abrams has been given this job to correct everything Rian Johnson did. So to give background to where Leia got her force powers, and then so J.J. Abrams had to show that she has actually trained with Luke and she actually became stronger with the Force, which nobody buys. So I mean, it's a course correction, but at the same time, it's lame to put in the middle of all if a new episode. It's just shown in the flashback. Okay, what else did Ryan Johnson change? Okay, J.J. Abrams fix. There's no porks in this movie at all. I mean, Ryan Johnson got famous for creating the porks, and the pork was significant character in the Last Jedi. You know, they're small, cute characters. This time, there's no even a show any sign of the porks at all. Even in the middle of this movie, somehow in weird way, Princess Ray dropped by on the Pork Island, and there was no sign of porks. That's what JJ. What else did JJ do? Okay, JJ in the Last Jedi, this Holdo woman destroyed like a fleet of Star Destroyers by just turning around and then light speed through it, and it was so, fans were angry, some fans were happy. So you know what JJ did? She answered that situation because they have to fight the new fleet, and then one of the pilots said, "Oh, we have to do a lot of Holdo kind of thing," because this is what Ryan Johnson changed. The moment you say you can use light speed to kill, to destroy a lot of the bad guys thing. Of course, the fans were saying that why didn't they do that long time ago? And so, of course, in this movie, a pilot suggested, okay, to fight this thing, we have to do the Holdo kind of movement where we need to hyper speed against all these Star Destroyers. And then, I think, Poe just somebody said, it's like, oh, you need, that is only 1 in a million kind of move. So they need to answer that Ryan Johnson thing. They are deleting everything that Ryan Johnson did. This is why I say this movie should be studied, because it's so interesting. What else? I know I'm nitpicking, but this I want to talk about the things that happen, you know, because it plays a significant part of the movie, which is why this movie is so messed up. Is the explanation of things. You need to explain things to audience, and they put it as part of the storyline, and that is bad. That's it. Holdo, and then the Luke thing, Luke Skywalker. Okay, here a lot of fans were complaining, why would Luke Skywalker run away from a good fight and then end up on the Pork Island to meditate? So how JJ answered that is, and people were angry at Ryan Johnson for making Luke Skywalker such a coward and a pessimist. So how JJ Abrams countered that is by having a scene where Rey crash onto the island, onto the Pork Island, and wanting to. It's such a left field move to just crash into the island, and she said, "Oh, I want to quit. I want to follow your footsteps," because Luke appears. Now this is a different kind of Luke from Ryan Johnson, because Rey threw his lightsaber and like Luke Skywalker did. And then Luke Skywalker goes, hold Rey's lightsaber and said, "Don't throw your weapon," you know, this kind of holy thing or something like that. So that is how JJ counter Luke Skywalker appearance in the Last Jedi. And Luke said why he quit. It was a mistake on his part. He made a mistake. So he was trying to tell Rey, don't give up like I did. I made a mistake. See? It's such a bad, it's like when I watched that, I mean, JJ had to answer to correct whatever Ryan Johnson did. So this is such a weird movie, which is I said in the beginning that you need to see all of all of the trilogy is very interesting because of what Ryan Johnson did. Ryan Johnson literally ruined Star Wars. I have to say it because why would Kathleen Kennedy put J.J. Abrams to correct all that? It's such a weird thing. There's a lot of characters from that movie, like in the Last Jedi, they got this Benicio del Toro. I think the to is a con man space. He even has his own novels. So Ryan Johnson came into this movie and did not even mention once about that character, or that character never showed up once. What else correction that he did? I mean, I might lost something, but there was a lot of correction that he had to do to change whatever Ryan Johnson did. Okay, I think that's it. Let's go into I'll mention it up when if I remember anything else that he fixed. Oh yeah, they fixed Chewbacca not getting a medal in episode 4 in A New Hope. So in this movie, Chewbacca gets a medal. Wow. Wow. Oh yeah, Mask. This is a character, small puppet character, Mask, was really sidelined in The Last Jedi. And they brought her back. She plays a prominent character. And she is the part of the base in the rebel base. I don't know what name they call it now. Now the first order and then the last order and whatnot. It's a mess, like I said. Okay, so mine yeah, they mention all of the things that J.J. Abrams tried to change for this movie. Trying to give context. Oh yeah, there's also like a scene people were complaining that Rey did not even train with a Jedi, but she became very strong with the Force. So this movie they tried to correct that by showing that she was training with Princess Leia, the Jedi Master. So oh man, this is so weird movie, man, because like I say, it's a mess. It's really a mess. Because if she was the Jedi Master, stronger than Luke, why would she send her son, Ben, Kylo Ren, to train with Luke Skywalker when she could easily train him? Because she's a Jedi Master that can beat Luke Skywalker. So okay, so that itself is a category. What J.J. Abrams fixed with The Last Jedi. So back to this movie. Oh man, this movie is a mess because of that, because of the fixing things. And then they introduce this new thing when you are being chased away by enemies. You can do a light speed jump or light speed skipping, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, or it's so confusing because you cannot compute. I can't compute it. It's just weird and it's odd. Nobody have done it. I don't know why J.J. Abrams want to do this, add a new kind of thing. It doesn't make any sense, and then it's so confusing to think about it, to explain to people, and a lot of people who watch this movie will not get confused. Light speed skipping is so bad. It's so bad. To me, it is bad. Okay, but now let's go back into this movie. This movie is about Emperor is alive. You can see the trailer. The Emperor is back, and I have to be honest. This movie, when you see the Emperor Palpatine scenes. One, it was dark. You can't see a lot of things. It was dark, short dark. And then he appears in the most weird way, and this movie turns some into horror because suddenly you have this like devil worshipping emperor group of people. There's like his followers. He had followers like in 1,000. He was hiding all this time, and suddenly he have the disciples, and it feels satanic, the demonic. They call it a devil worshipping scene, and the emperor appears like floating on a machine. It was so out of. It was so weird, man. It was so weird. I was looking at the screen thinking like this is a different movie. You know what I mean? It's really badly shot. It was so, and the sight of all this hooded kind of, you know, worshippers of Sith of Palpatine was so bad. It's so bad. So I think that really brings me down the mark down. Second thing that brings the movie down for me is the Knights of Ren. Babe, Knight of Ren sucks. Knight of Ren was explained in the first movie. Ryan Johnson didn't touch a bit about him. Forget about the whole thing. In this movie, they brought up this Knight of Ren that you don't feel anything for them, whether you fear them, you whatnot, because they don't do anything. When they show up on screen, for me, it's like it's just a boring fighting scene because with people you don't create a background for this Knights of Ren, except when they pass a few stormtroopers, they will say, "Oh, who are they? Oh, they are the Knights of Ren. They must be great." Some people, something like that, which is bad. You don't need to do this. You don't need to do that at all. And then I have to say the last third act was really a mess for me. It's like Palpatine shows up, and then Palpatine have this like thousands of Star Destroyers, man, which begs the thinking who is on those. Made me think who are on board of those things. Such a weird thing. It's such a weird thing to happen. Really took me out, and really just I couldn't compute anymore. My brain was tired, and really brought the movie down. And the last thing for me, that not last thing, but another thing that in the middle of in the third act that really brought me down beside the Emperor scene was this former stormtrooper group of people who rebel, and then they end up on this island with the Star Destroyer, with the Death Star, and then they are like Pocahontas, you know. They are fighting with crossbows, horses, and the worst part in the end, they fight a Star Destroyer by landing on top of the Star Destroyer and then riding horses on them. You can see in the trailer, they were riding horses on the Star Destroyer to do what? I mean, to fight the Star Destroyer on the horses? It was one of the weird thing to include this Pocahontas group and then their horses. I mean, good God. Because it made me think, because they discovered this group of people who turns out to be former stormtroopers, just like Finn. It was so messed up, so unnecessary. And then they have to go back to the island, to that island, and get this Pocahontas group of nature-loving people to fight a Star Destroyer with the big baddie on top of in it. It was so weird and it was so bad. It was there's too many things, too much information overload from the trying to fix the Last Jedi, and then additional things like this new character, and then oh yeah, the inclusion of Lando. It's just weird. When they landed on this planet had a celebration. It's not part of the plot. You can remove it and it wouldn't hurt the plot. But to add like, oh, you know what, we should land on this planet. Oh, the planet is actually having a celebration every 42 years. It's so specific, but it doesn't contribute a thing to the plot. What does the planet contribute to the plot? And then they land there to get the sword. The sword will tell the location of. Okay, here's a weird thing. They get the sword. There's a small knife or sword or whatnot, which will reveal the location of this thing that can guide them to the Emperor, right? Now this sword is like thousands of years or something. You can open the sword exactly how the Death Star crash broken. They put the knife and actually fit the Death Star. I mean, wait a minute. How can that 1 + 1 is 2 or 1 + 1 is 3? It doesn't compute for me at the end. At that point, it doesn't compute. Okay, and then, oh God, so much information. So there's a scene with the snake, with a freaking snake, and Rey showing her skill. It's really completely unnecessary in that movie. This is, okay, you know what? Just talking to you to do this review, I'm glad I didn't do a special effect thing, because now after I laid out everything in this video, it sounds weird, and this video gonna be very long. I don't care, because I just wanna vent. Okay, and then the last bad thing about the movie did, which really pulled me out, and I'm gonna share it. It's two in one stoner. Okay, turns out Rey is the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine. All right, okay, I can like figure things out. Rey is the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine, right? So last she killed him. She killed her granddad, and then she takes the name of Rey Skywalker. My mind really cannot compute. My mind cannot compute. At that point, the movie really destroyed itself for me. Not the crazy horse fighting fighting on horseback on a floating Star Destroyer. A lot of these crazy things, and then you have an out of place emperor horror movie, devil worshippers kind of vibe, and then Rey Skywalker. That is the rise of the Skywalker. My mind just blown up. My mind really. I think a lot of people in the cinema with me were what? They were quiet. They don't even know. It's so weird. It's such an awkward thing, because you can't clap, because you realize, wait a minute, the first shocker, she's the granddaughter of the evil person in the world, in this universe, Emperor Palpatine, and then suddenly she's a Skywalker too. That's not how it should be working. So that scene really kills the movie. I have to say it is watchable for the special effect, but it's such a bad way to write it. That's why I think this movie should be studied if you want to do film, on what not to do. It's such a very convoluted mess of a plot, introducing 1,000 things, and also it doesn't have any interesting thing. It doesn't have any interesting thing. To be honest, the only interesting thing for me is the Kylo Ren redeem himself. That's it. He have an arc, but he has an arc. At the same time, he changed to be a good person, but at the same time, he cannot go back to the rebel or the heroes because he killed Han Solo. A lot of people say he's not forgivable and kind of thing, so they did that to him. He's the only thing that makes this movie for me. I really enjoyed Kylo Ren scenes, but the rest can is just garbage, man. It is truly a garbage, and I don't mind making this long movie. I don't know I can upload it or not. I'll try to upload it, but it's such a bad movie. And my score for this movie, since there are scenes that I like, but more I don't like. So this movie is, for the first time, is 5 out of 10. I never thought I would say that about a Star Wars movie. It's a 5 out of 10 because it has some good things, but most of them just a mess. And that's my review for, unfortunately, the last movie of the Star Wars original trilogies and whatnot, triple trilogies, billions spent, but such a bad movie. Such a bad movie. 5 out of 10 for the Rise of the Skywalker. I'm sorry, my friends, for the down. I don't have any spirit. I really was so down after watching this movie. And that's it. That's it. Goodbye, Star Wars. Goodbye, Kathleen Kennedy. Goodbye, Disney. Goodbye, the whole stupidest movie in ever made. It's such a bad movie, but I would recommend people to watch this to learn how not to do a movie. It should be simple, not so much information like that. That's it. That's my review for The Last Skywalker. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.